My name is Chelsea King, and I turned 38 in Jackson, Mississippi. I'd planned a big birthday dinner at a local soul food restaurant expecting my family to show up: my dad, my mom, my brother, my aunt. I'd even reserved a private room, paid for everything. Then my phone pinged. A text from my dad: "Don't expect anyone to show." My stomach dropped. I opened social media, and there it was. A group photo of them all in Miami lounging by a pool, sunglasses gleaming. The caption read, "Finally, together." I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. They didn't just skip my birthday, they flaunted it. I typed one reply: "What a coincidence." That night, I logged into my accounts and froze every expense account tied to their rentals. By morning, my phone lit up: 28 missed calls, voicemails piling up. They thought they could ditch me and keep cashing my checks. They were wrong. Before I dive into my story, let me know what time it is, where you're watching this, and which city you're in, so I can see just how far my story is reaching. I'd been planning my 38th birthday for weeks. The soul food restaurant in Jackson, Mississippi was the perfect spot: family-owned, warm, the kind of place where you feel at home. I reserved a private room, ordered platters of fried catfish, collard greens, and cornbread, enough for my whole family: my dad, my mom, my brother, my aunt. I'd even sent invites a month ago, double-checked RSVPs. They all said they'd be there. I wanted it to be special, a chance to bring everyone together, maybe smooth over the tension that had been simmering for years. I'm a real estate investor, have been for over a decade. I own 6 apartment buildings in Jackson, and my family lives in 3 of them, paying way below market rent. I've covered their late payments, skipped fees, even paid for my brother's car when his business tanked. It's not like I'm rolling in cash, but I've worked hard, built a solid portfolio: 25 units, steady income. My dad's always called it our family empire, like he had a hand in it. He didn't. I started with a small inheritance from my grandmother and turned it into something real. They've leaned on me ever since, expecting handouts while throwing shade at my choices. The biggest sore spot: my boyfriend, Owen. We've been together 3 years, and he's the best thing in my life. He's a mechanic, owns a small auto shop in town. He's got this quiet strength, always fixing things: cars, my bad days, you name it. But my family can't stand him. They call him grease monkey behind his back, say he's not good enough for me. My mom once told me straight to my face I could do better than a guy who comes home with oil stains on his jeans. My brother's worse, he's always dropping hints that Owen's just after my money, as if I'm some clueless heiress. It's been a constant battle, their snide comments chipping away at me. I thought my birthday could be a fresh start, a night where they'd see Owen the way I do. That morning, I was buzzing with excitement. I'd spent hours picking out a dress. Navy blue, simple but sharp. Owen helped me set up the restaurant, hauling in decorations, joking about how I'd gone overboard with the balloons. I laughed, but deep down I was nervous. My family's never been easy. My dad's the type who expects everyone to fall in line with his plans, always talking about family image. My mom backs him up, nodding along like he's preaching gospel. My brother's always chasing some get-rich-quick scheme, leaning on me to bail him out. My aunt's the queen of gossip, stirring the pot whenever she gets a chance. Still, I hoped they'd show up, eat, laugh, maybe act like a real family for once. I got to the restaurant early, checked the setup. The tables were perfect, candles, flickering music low. Owen was there, looking sharp in a button-down, even though he hates dressing up. He squeezed my hand, told me it'd be great. I wanted to believe him. Then my phone buzzed. I figured it was my dad saying they were running late. I opened the message and my heart stopped. "Don't expect anyone to show," he wrote. No explanation, no apology, just those 5 words. I read it again, thinking it was a mistake. My dad's always been blunt, but this was a gut punch. I stood there, staring at the screen, feeling the room shrink around me. Owen asked what was wrong, but I couldn't speak. My family didn't just ditch me, they didn't even care enough to fake an excuse. I'd spent thousands on them, carried their weight for years, and this was how they repaid me. I wasn't just hurt. I was done. I stood in the restaurant, the candles flickering on empty tables, my phone heavy in my hand. Owen looked at me, his eyes searching. "Babe, what's going on?" he asked. But I couldn't form words. My family had ditched my birthday. No warning, no excuse. I needed to know why. I opened my social media app hoping for some clue, maybe a last-minute emergency. Instead, I found a photo that hit me like a freight train. There they were. My dad, my mom, my brother, my aunt posing by a Miami pool, all smiles, drinks in hand. The caption read, "Finally together." I stared at it, my pulse racing. They weren't just skipping my party. They were on a full-blown vacation, flaunting it for the world to see. And I wasn't invited. I scrolled through the comments. Friends, cousins, even my mom's book club were chiming in with heart emojis and looks like fun. Not one mentioned me. My aunt had posted the photo, her usual smug grin plastered on her face. My brother was laughing, arm around my mom, who looked happier than I'd seen her in years. My dad stood in the center, proud, like he'd orchestrated the whole thing. This wasn't a last-minute trip. They'd planned it, kept it secret, and chose my birthday to rub it in my face. I felt like I'd been erased, like I wasn't even part of the family anymore. My whole life, I'd carried their weight, cheap rent loans, favors, and this was their thanks. A public slap captioned, "Finally together," as if I was the one holding them back. I wanted to scream, to call them out right then and there. But something stopped me. I'd spent years letting their jabs slide, swallowing my hurt to keep the peace. Not this time. I locked my phone, took a deep breath, and looked at Owen. "Let's eat," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He raised an eyebrow but didn't push. We sat down at the table meant for 10. Just the two of us, surrounded by untouched plates of catfish and cornbread. The waiter, sensing the mood, kept his distance. Owen cracked a joke about the balloons still floating above us, trying to lighten things up. I forced a smile, but my mind was racing. They thought they could humiliate me and keep cashing my checks. They had no idea who they were dealing with. As we ate, I started piecing it together. My family's always been about appearances, big house, fancy trips, the perfect image. They hated Owen because he didn't fit their mold, a mechanic who didn't care about their social ladder. This Miami trip wasn't just a vacation, it was a statement. They wanted to show me I didn't belong, that I was the outsider for choosing him. I thought about the apartments I owned, the ones they lived in for pennies. My brother's failing business propped up by my properties. My dad's boasts about our empire built on my back. They'd taken everything I'd given them and thrown it in my face. I wasn't just angry, I was done playing their game. I leaned across the table, looked at Owen. "They think they can cut me out," I said, my voice low. "They're wrong." He nodded, his eyes steady, like he knew I was cooking up something big. I didn't tell him the details, not yet. But in my head, a plan was forming. I'd hit them where it hurt, their wallets. I could raise their rent to market rates, sell off the commercial property my brother used for his so-called business. I'd given them too much for too long, and they'd mistaken my kindness for weakness. They wanted to play dirty. I'd show them I could play dirtier. By the time we finished dinner, I felt a strange calm. The hurt was still there, sharp and raw, but it was fueling something else, resolve. I wasn't going to cry or beg for their approval. I was going to take back control. Owen drove us home, his hand on mine, not asking questions. He knew me well enough to let me stew. I woke up the morning after my birthday with a fire in my chest. My family had declared war, and I wasn't going to roll over. For years I'd carried their weight, cheap rent loans, endless favors, and they'd repaid me with betrayal. No more. By noon, I was at my desk, laptop open, diving into the leases for the 3 apartment buildings where my dad, my mom, my brother, and my aunt lived. I'd let them pay half the market rate, sometimes less, because they were family. That ended today. I drafted new lease agreements, raising the rent to full market value, $2,000 a month per unit, no exceptions. Mississippi law required 30 days' notice, so I sent the emails through my property management software, knowing they'd hit their inboxes by evening. No discussion, no warning, just cold, hard numbers. Then I turned to the strip mall my brother leaned on for his so-called consulting firm. It was one of my first big wins as an investor, a small commercial property on Jackson's outskirts, 5 storefronts, reliable tenants. My brother leased the anchor unit for his business, a string of half-baked schemes that never made a cent. I'd given him a ridiculous deal, $500 a month for a space worth $4,000 on the open market. He'd used it to play entrepreneur, flashing the address on business cards while I covered his losses. I called my real estate agent, my voice steady. "List the strip mall," I told her. "Find me a buyer fast." By afternoon, she had a developer on the hook, ready to turn it into a retail hub. I signed the preliminary sale agreement, cash offer 20% above asking. My brother's lifeline was gone, and I didn't blink. By 6 p.m., my phone started buzzing. My mom's text came first. "What's this about the rent going up?" "Call me now." I didn't. My brother fired off a string of messages. "You can't do this. That's my business space. We need to talk." I ignored them. My aunt sent a novel-length text whining about how shocked she was, how I was ripping the family apart. My dad's message was short, icy. "This is low even for you." I read each one, my jaw clenched, but I didn't reply. They'd planned their Miami stunt to cut me out, and now they were scrambling because I'd hit back where it hurt. By morning, my phone showed 28 missed calls, voicemails piling up, angry, then desperate. They thought they could guilt me into backing down like I'd done for years. They were wrong. I sat with Owen that night, sipping coffee at our kitchen table. "They're freaking out," I told him, sliding my phone across to show the texts. He scanned them, shaking his head, a faint smile on his lips. "They didn't see you coming," he said. I nodded, a mix of satisfaction and heaviness settling in. This wasn't just about money, it was about taking back my power. My family had treated me like a bank, cashing my checks while sneering at Owen at me. Raising the rent and selling the strip mall wasn't just revenge. It was me saying I was done being their doormat. I'd poured thousands into their lives, rent discounts, car loans, my brother's endless failures, and they'd repaid me with a public snub. Now they'd learn what life looked like without my support. The next day, the texts kept coming more desperate. My brother sent a long one. "I can't afford $2,000 a month. You're killing my business. Let's work this out." I didn't answer. My mom called 3 times, leaving a voicemail about how this isn't how family acts. I deleted it halfway through. My aunt tried guilt texting about my dad's stress and how I needed to think about the family. I almost laughed. They hadn't thought about me when they posed for that photo, when they chose Miami over my birthday. My dad sent another text. "You'll regret this." I didn't flinch. They'd made their choice, and I'd made mine. I checked my email and saw a note from my agent. The strip mall deal was on track, closing in 2 weeks. The buyer's cash offer was locked in, and my brother's firm would be out, no extensions. I felt no guilt. He'd never thanked me for the cheap lease, never acknowledged the thousands I'd sunk into his ventures. My dad and mom were no different, living in my apartments like they owned them, never offering a dime for repairs or taxes. My aunt, always stirring drama, had no right to lecture me. I'd given them everything, and they'd thrown it back in my face. Now they'd face the consequences. Owen watched me, work his eyes steady. "You sure about this?" he asked, not pushing, just checking. "Absolutely," I said. This wasn't just about cutting them off, it was about breaking the chains they'd used to control me. Every missed payment I'd covered, every favor I'd done had given them leverage. No more. I sent a final email to my property manager, locking in the rent increases. No negotiations, no discounts. My family wanted to act like I didn't exist. Fine. They could live like it. The texts kept coming over the next few days, a mix of anger and pleading. My brother offered to make it right if I gave him time. My mom tried guilt again. "We're your family. You can't do this." My dad's last message was a threat. "You're making a mistake." I didn't respond. Their panic felt like justice. They'd crossed me, and I wasn't letting them off. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I turned it to silent, done with their excuses. I'd drawn my line in the sand, and I wasn't stepping back. They'd underestimated me, and they were about to find out how much that cost. 3 days after I raised their rent and listed the strip mall, my dad and mom showed up at my doorstep unannounced. I'd been expecting this, but seeing them there, my dad's jaw set. My mom's eyes narrowed, still sent a jolt through me. Owen was at his shop, so it was just me, standing in my living room facing them down. My dad didn't waste time. "You're being selfish?" He said, his voice sharp like I was a kid who'd broken a rule. "Raising our rent, selling your brother's business space? This isn't you." My mom jumped in, her tone softer but just as cutting. "We're your family. You're tearing us apart over a tantrum." I stood there, arms crossed, letting their words hang. They thought they could march and guilt me, and I'd fold. They didn't know I was done playing their game. I leaned against the counter, keeping my voice steady. "You chose Miami over my birthday," I said. "You posted it for the world to see. Don't talk to me about family." My dad's face reddened. "That was a family trip. You could have come if you weren't so stubborn." Stubborn? I almost laughed. They hadn't invited me, hadn't even hinted at it. My mom tried a different angle, her voice trembling like she was on the verge of tears. "We didn't mean to hurt you. We just needed time together. You've been so distant." Distant? I'd been covering their rent, bailing out my brother, swallowing their jabs about Owen for years. I shook my head. "You don't get to rewrite this. You made your choice." My dad stepped closer, pointing a finger. "You think you can cut us off? We built you up. You'd be nothing without us." That hit a nerve, but I didn't flinch. "I built myself," I said, my voice ice cold. "Those apartments, my work. That strip mall, my investment. You've been living off me, not the other way around." My mom gasped like I'd slapped her. "How can you say that? We're your parents?" I didn't back down. "Parents don't ditch their kid's birthday and flaunt it online." "You did." They stood there stunned, like they hadn't expected me to fight back. I wasn't the pushover they thought I was anymore. Before they could say more, my phone buzzed with an email from my bank. I glanced at it, and my stomach tightened. An alert about a credit inquiry. Someone had tried to open a loan in my name. I opened the details, and there it was. My brother's name tied to an application for a $50,000 business loan using my credit and my properties as collateral. He'd gone behind my back thinking he could cash in on my name to save his failing business. I looked up at my dad and mom, my anger boiling over. "Did you know about this?" I asked, holding up my phone. They exchanged a glance, and my mom's face paled. "He's desperate," she said. "He didn't mean any harm." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "No harm. He tried to steal from me." I pulled up the bank's number, called them right there, and reported the fraud. The loan was denied, my credit was locked, and my brother's scheme was dead in the water. My dad tried to interrupt. "You're overreacting. He's your brother. He needs help." I cut him off. "He needs to grow up. And so do you." I told them to leave, my voice firm. "There's no deal to make here. The rent's going up. The strip mall's sold. You figure it out." My mom started to cry, real tears this time, but I didn't budge. "You should have thought about family before you ditched me," I said. "Get out." They left, my dad muttering about how I'd come around, my mom sniffling like I was the villain. I shut the door, my hands shaking but my resolve solid. Owen got home an hour later, saw my face, and pulled me into a hug. "What happened?" he asked. I told him about the confrontation, the loan attempt, everything. "They think they can bully me into backing down," I said. He squeezed my hand. "They don't know you at all, do they?" I shook my head, a small smile breaking through. He was right. They'd underestimated me, thought I'd cave, like I always had. But I was done bending. Later that night, my brother sent a text trying to play innocent. "I didn't mean to use your name. I was desperate. Let's talk." I didn't reply. My aunt called, leaving a voicemail about how I was destroying the family legacy. I deleted it. My dad sent one last message: "You're making enemies you don't want." I didn't respond. They'd spent years taking my money, my time, my patience, and now they wanted to paint me as the bad guy. No, I'd given them every chance and they'd thrown it away with that Miami trip, that photo, their lies. I wasn't negotiating. The line was drawn and I wasn't crossing it. The fallout from my confrontation with my dad and mom was still fresh when my phone buzzed with a text from my friend Nathan. "Need to talk. It's about your brother." "Can I come over?" I'd known Nathan since college, a real estate broker who'd helped me close my first property deal. He wasn't one for drama, so his urgency made my stomach twist. I texted back, "Come now." An hour later, he was at my door, his face grim. Owen was home tinkering with a carburetor in the garage, so I led Nathan to the kitchen table. "What's going on?" I asked, bracing myself. He didn't sugarcoat it. "Your brother's been shopping your properties to investors, claiming he has power of attorney over your portfolio. He's trying to sell your apartments to cover his debts." I stared at him, my pulse spiking. My brother had already tried to use my name for a $50,000 loan, and now this power of attorney. I said, my voice sharp. "He has nothing. Everything's in my name." Nathan nodded, pulling out his phone. "I heard it from a client, an investor who got a pitch from him. He's saying you're unstable, and he's stepping in to manage the family assets." I felt a cold fury settle in. My brother wasn't just desperate, he was scheming to steal what I'd built. Years of late-night deals, tenant disputes, and market research, my 6 apartment buildings, my strip mall, my life's work, and he thought he could claim it. I leaned back, my mind racing. "What's his play?" I asked. Nathan sighed. "He's targeting a shady developer, promising a quick sale." I stalled the guy, said I'd check with you first. I gripped my coffee mug, my knuckles white. "He's got no legal ground," I said. "But he's banking on you not noticing until it's too late." Nathan's words hit hard. My brother had always been reckless, chasing get-rich-quick dreams while I bailed him out. But this was a new low, trying to sell my properties behind my back, lying about my mental state to make it stick. I thanked Nathan, told him to keep the investor on hold. "Don't let him know I'm onto this," I said. He nodded, his eyes steady. "You've got this. Just be careful." After he left, I sat there, the weight of my brother's betrayal sinking in. He wasn't just after money, he wanted to erase me, to take everything I'd earned. As I processed Nathan's news, my phone pinged with an email from my attorney, Jennifer. I'd hired her years ago to handle my property contracts, a sharp lawyer who didn't miss details. The subject line read, "Urgent, your grandmother's estate." My heart skipped. My grandmother had passed 5 years ago, leaving me a small inheritance I'd use to start my real estate business. I opened the email and my breath caught. Jennifer had uncovered a trust fund my grandmother had set up, one I'd never known about. It was worth $500,000, tied to a condition: it could only be activated if I stopped financially supporting my family. The trust's terms were clear. My grandmother had written it to ensure I'd stand on my own, free from their demands. Jennifer's email ended with a note. "Given your recent decisions, you're eligible to claim this now. Call me to proceed." I sat back, stunned. My grandmother had seen this coming, my family's greed, their endless reliance on me. She'd known they'd try to bleed me dry, and she'd left me a way out. The timing was uncanny. I'd just raised their rent, sold the strip mall, and cut them off after their Miami stunt. Now this. It felt like a sign, like she was still watching out for me. I called Jennifer immediately. "Is this for real?" I asked. Her voice was calm, professional. "It's ironclad. The trust is yours, but you have to maintain the cutoff. No rent discounts, no loans, no support." Your grandmother was clear. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. "I'm done with them," I said. "Let's move forward." She promised to start the paperwork, and I hung up, a strange mix of relief and resolve washing over me. I told Owen everything that night, pacing the living room as he listened. My brother's trying to sell my properties, I said, my voice shaking with anger. And my grandmother left me $500,000, but only if I keep them cut off. Owen's eyes widened, but he stayed calm, his hand resting on mine. Your grandmother knew you'd need this, he said. And Nathan's got your back. You're not alone in this. I squeezed his hand, grateful for him in a way I couldn't put into words. My family had tried to break me, but I was stronger than they thought. With Nathan's warning and Jennifer's email, I had the upper hand. I spent the next day digging into my brother's scheme. I called my property manager, confirmed every lease and title was locked in my name, no loopholes, no power of attorney. I told her to flag any inquiries about my properties and report them to me directly. Then I emailed Jennifer, asking her to monitor my brother's moves for any legal missteps. If he was pitching to shady developers, he was likely breaking laws, and I wasn't going to let him slide. The trust fund was a game changer. It wasn't just money, it was freedom. I could expand my business, invest in new properties, build a life with Owen without my family's weight dragging me down. They'd tried to erase me, but I was rewriting the story. My phone kept buzzing with texts from my dad, my mom, my aunt, still trying to guilt me, still acting like I owed them. I ignored them. My brother sent another message claiming he just wanted to talk, but I knew better. He wasn't sorry. He was scared. He'd tried to steal from me, and now he was caught. I wasn't going to confront him, not yet. I'd let him sweat. Let him think his plan was still in play. My grandmother's trust, Nathan's loyalty, and Jennifer's expertise were my armor. My family had underestimated me for the last time, and I was ready to show them what I was made of. A month after I locked down my properties and claimed my grandmother's trust fund, word got back to me about my family's new reality. My dad, my mom, my brother, and my aunt had moved out of my apartments, unable to afford the market rate rent I'd set. They'd landed in a budget complex on the edge of Jackson, cramped units, thin walls, no pool or gated entry. The kind of place they'd once sneered at back when they lived off my generosity. My brother's so-called consulting firm was gone, his office space now a vape shop in the strip mall I'd sold. My dad's boasts about the family empire were silent. He was driving for a rideshare app to make ends meet. My mom had taken a part-time job at a grocery store, her designer bags replaced with a faded tote. My aunt, always the loudest about family pride, was renting a studio, her social media posts now just complaints about noisy neighbors. I didn't feel joy hearing this, just a quiet satisfaction. They'd built their lives on my back, expecting me to keep them afloat, while they judged my choices and excluded me. Now they were facing the real world, stripped of the luxury I'd subsidized. I'd given them years of cheap rent loans, second chances, and they'd repaid me with betrayal. Their new reality wasn't my fault, it was their consequence. I'd learned the hard way that family isn't about blood, it's about respect. They'd chosen to cross me, and I'd chosen to stand up for myself. With the $500,000 from my grandmother's trust, I took a leap I'd been dreaming of for years. I sat down with Owen one evening, my laptop open, to a business plan I'd been sketching out. What if we started our own real estate company, I asked. His eyes lit up, that steady confidence I loved shining through. You've got the brains, babe. I'm in. We spent weeks hammering out the details, incorporating the company's scouting office space, building a client list. Nathan connected us with investors, and Jennifer handled the legal setup, her sharp eye catching every detail. By spring, we'd opened King Properties, a small firm focused on affordable housing in Jackson. Owen took charge of operations, his practical know-how balancing my vision. We hired a small team, and I used the trust fund to buy 2 new apartment buildings, ones we'd renovate to give families a decent place to live without breaking the bank. Every step felt like a reclaiming of my power. My family had tried to tear me down, to steal what I'd built, but I was building something better, something mine. Owen was by my side, not just as my boyfriend, but as my partner, his belief in me unwavering. The trust fund wasn't just money. It was my grandmother's way of reminding me I was enough. She'd seen their greed, known they'd try to hold me back, and given me a way to rise above. Starting King Properties wasn't just about business, it was about proving I didn't need their approval to succeed. Looking back, the lesson hit hard. Self-respect isn't negotiable. I'd spent years bending over backward thinking I could earn their love by giving more. But love doesn't work that way, and neither does family. They'd taken my kindness for weakness, but I'd shown them I was stronger than they ever imagined. I wasn't the villain in their story, I was the hero in mine. Every deal I closed, every tenant I helped, every day I built with Owen was a step toward a life I chose, not one they dictated. To everyone who's followed this story, thank you. You've been with me through the hurt, the fight, and the triumph. Your support means everything. It's what keeps me going, keeps me sharing. If you've felt something from this, if it's hit home, please hit that subscribe button. Join me for more stories about standing up, fighting back, and finding your own path. You're not just viewers, you're part of this journey. Thank you for being here.